Hi, today I'm going to discuss an important topic when it comes to MIDI guitar conversion, and that is the concept of latency. Currently, in my Cubase session here, I have set it up in an optimal way. So, as you can hear here, latency is almost non-existent. So there are mainly three things that could cause latency. First one that I usually get is that people have set the wrong buffer size. When converting audio from analog to digital, you do it in a buffer-wise manner. So you can set up the amount of samples that are going to get sent per buffer. So if you set this really high, like say 512, you can see here we have a fixed round-trip latency of 46.6. No matter how good I make MiGiC, I will never be able to make the conversion quicker than that. So I'm going to play a little bit so you can hear how it sounds. Okay, and as you can see here, MiGiC is actually warning you that it's set too high, so it asks you to lower it. But anyway, here it is. Feels horrible. So let's set that one back to 64. That's the first suspect. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you guys one thing. When it's set to this optimal setting, there's one more place you can actually introduce too much latency. And if you go to the tracker settings here, you have this reactivity. And by default, it's set to 8, which is a good middle ground for new players and experienced players. If you set it to 50, it will react even quicker. Sometimes it will react so quick that it's actually even detects it before you pick the note. So now it's crazy low. But let's set it back to 8. Okay, so now we are going to record the audio and MIDI at the same time, and then we're going to measure the latency in Cubase using the range selection tool to see what numbers we actually have with MiGiC. Okay, so let's record. Okay, there's some strings. So now let's zoom in. And let's start with this A string here. Now I'm going to do the range selection tool, and then we're going to see, as you can see here we start the, that's the start of the pick, and here is the resulting MIDI note. And it's as low as 8 milliseconds. 8 milliseconds of latency. That's really low, okay? That's even even before it has rung a full period, which is impressive if you think about the physics of it. So here is the thick E string, which is sort of the hardest one to track. And as you can see here, it's almost at 5-6 milliseconds. So it's actually so quick that it actually calculated the fundamental frequency of that note within a quarter of the wavelength. So as you can see here, I hope you guys agree, the latency of MiGiC Poly is exceptionally low. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the third issue that could cause latency. And that is when you use synthesizers that has an inherent its own really slow attack. So some synths, they have a slow attack, which means that the audio ramps up really slow after the MIDI was sent. So to display that, I have a slow attack synth here, and then I'm going to record the audio output from the synth. Okay, so then we should be able to see the difference between the input audio, the MIDI note, and the resulting synth audio that you guys heard in my last video. Okay, so let's check that out then. So I'm just gonna press record here, and let's do Alright, so now we have 3 audio waves here. First one is MiGiC, as is, the incoming audio. Then you have the MIDI, and then you have the resulting audio. See if this tells a story here. Okay, so I think you guys can already see it. But if I do range select here, so let's say that the audio starts here. My pick started here. The MIDI was sent here, and you got the audio here. So now we're talking 24 milliseconds. I think it can even be higher in some cases. Let's take another note here. Let's take this one in the middle. So I'm gonna range select. I think it starts like that's the new note starts like here. Yeah, then it's 33, 34. Let's be generous. Let's say that it starts here. That's 30. So even though MiGiC detected it really, really fast, the synth itself added some latency due to its slow attack. So that's the third thing you need to watch out for. If you use a synthesizer that has a really slow attack, you're gonna notice latency anyway. Not because of how MiGiC tracks, but because of how the synth is designed. Alright, so I think for the best out-of-the-box experience, which is kind of what I ship, you can use the built-in piano preset. And that one has a really, really low latency due to its very slow, very fast attack. Alright, and also please make sure to use like a buffer size of 64. 128 works also, but 64 is optimal. And as you can hear, it's really, really, really fast. And as you can see also, it is in the range of 7 to 8 milliseconds, which I think is, I'm very, very proud of that. Hope you guys learned something and that brings you any knowledge and use for how you use MiGiC Poly in the future. Take care.